let's start with the prayers. Om Badram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaha Badram Pashye Makshabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Stuštuvagum Sastanovihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vriddashravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dhadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is a very beautiful Shanti mantra, and it tells us it's a prayer to the Lord, and the prayer is very unique, and it says, let me hear good things in life, auspicious things. Let me have a good span of life, a perfect health, strength, and it is a prayer for the spiritual essence in me, to know the spiritual essence in me, which is behind all this, which we experience in life. Very beautiful prayer. You can contemplate on this and reach the ultimate truth. Okay, so we are in Mandukya Upanishad, and we have finished four sessions so far. Today is the 5th session. This is a very, very beautiful Upanishad. It's a very famous Upanishad. And for all spiritual students, this is a direct path to realization, because it analyzes our own experience and teaches us how to look at our nature. We need to correct our vision about ourselves as who we are, and know the truth about us, about the Creator, and about this world which we see. This is the goal of this Upanishad. Very, very beautifully it summarizes the entire scriptures in 12 mantras. Because it's so deep in thought, there are several commentaries available on this Upanishad, and each of the seers of this truth has given their own experiences, how they manage to reveal this truth to themselves. The most famous, of course, is Mandukya Karika of Gaudapada Acharya, who has commented on this Upanishad. Based on that commentary, Swami Chinmayananda has also written a beautiful commentary. You can get the book, very easily available. And if you study those, the depth in them, you will be able to see for yourself how deep is the thought of this Atma. Several rishis, several teachers have gone through this Upanishad. Towards the end, I will also discuss with you one of the other commentators, that is Nishchaladasa, how he looked upon this Upanishad. Very unique method. All of them are trying to reach the same truth. The way, the paths may be different, but ultimately they want to reach what the Upanishads are trying to reveal. Upanishads have a very unique method. They say, consider the possibility that you are not the body. Assume, today we all take ourselves to be the body, and we live our whole life. The Upanishads want us to do this inquiry. Each one have to do this inquiry in himself or herself and understand the truth. I live my life as if I am the body. The Upanishads is questioning this concept. I am the body. While doing this inquiry, it is giving us some pointers and it is giving us some meditation techniques to reach the ultimate truth about our own nature. This is the fundamental thing we must understand very clearly when we are learning the Upanishads. It is not an object outside in the world, it is the subject, the I, the Atma in me, the core of my personality, which I am not aware of. This is the revelation from the Upanishads through these mantras. So we must be very clear, what are we learning? We are learning to make an inquiry in ourselves and analyze our own concepts, ideas, notions about ourselves. No doubt that we are living with this body and with this mind. No doubt about it. But is this the ultimate, is the question. Is this the final reality which we are used to living? Is this the final truth? And here is where the Upanishad tries to tell us that there is a higher principle. There is something which I don't know about myself. That there is something called as awareness, consciousness, a spirit in this body. And in this Upanishad, they call it Turiya. Another name, that's all. Bhagavad Gita calls it Kshetrajna, Purusha. All these are just names, different texts, different contexts. They give a name suitable to reveal the truth. But the basic truth we must understand is, I am of the nature of Sat and Chit. That is my real nature. If somebody asks you, we should know, if somebody asks you, what did you learn from the Bhagavad Gita or from the Upanishads, we must be able to clearly tell them that these scriptures are revealing to me that I am a pure being, a pure existent being. That is the revelation. How I try to reach this in myself is a big question, but the goal must be very clear. We must know what we are studying. We must know how to reach that final goal. Mandukya Upanishad gives us both. In the first 6 mantras or the 7 mantras, it tells us the theoretical aspect of the nature of the self. Why do we call this as self? Because self means it is common to all of us. Common to you, common to me. All the bodies have a nature which is called as the self. It is the self of all the human beings. It is the self of all the living beings. It is the self of the entire universe made up of objects, inanimate objects and animated objects. There is no other word in the dictionary which can describe a thing like this. If it exists, it is the self of the individual. It is the self of the total. And that is Turiya. Very, very deep. This topic is deep. Let the mind run through the same idea of the Upanishad. Then you will be able to enjoy this study. This study is not only academic, it should be put in practice, because then only we will really get the benefit of this study. Each one of us, at your own spare time, at your own pace, you can study this Upanishad in depth. I have not seen any other Upanishad analyzed in depth like the Mandukya Upanishad by several authors. You can find hundreds of lectures in the YouTube on Mandukya Upanishad, hundreds. So much of material available in the web. There's so much of talks available in the YouTubes. So much of written material on this Upanishad. Because it is efficient, it is revealing our own nature, and it gives us a methodology. If we follow the methodology, you will also be successful. And in this journey of realizing our true nature as this pure Sat-Chit, you will come across a lot of other notions which you had. They all get dropped off. And this process of dropping the wrong notions about our own self is called as purity of the mind. The more we learn what we are not, the closer we are to the goal of what we are. That is the style of the Upanishads. It will teach us what we are not, what we are not, what we are not, what we are not. And then in one mantra, it will say that this is what you are. That is what we are studying. And we have finished 2 mantras. The first mantra, I'm just revising again so that we are able to again come back to the track of where we left last time, and then we can proceed further. The first mantra is a phenomenal mantra. It tells us directly how to meditate on our own nature. It gives us a clue. And the clue is, my nature is timeless. That means there is something in me which is beyond the time. I know I experience time, the past, present, and the future. And time affects all objects and beings in creation. It changes, it transforms the entire world. One principle, time. So if I can conquer time in my own nature, then I'm beyond time. I'm beyond the realm of change. We are all used to this realm of change. Morning comes, evening comes, again night comes, again morning comes, night comes, again the next day morning. This is realm of change. A new day comes and a day passes off. Again a new day comes, again a day passes off. We have experiences in life. We have joy and sorrow. Joy and sorrow always is experienced in time. But there is something, there is my nature, which is not affected by time. Eternal, nityaha. That is the nature of Atma. That is the nature of Turiya. I am in search of that. So very first mantra, it says, that self which you are searching is beyond time. Very big clue. And if you are in the spiritual journey, you will enjoy this clue, because this is a direct path to realizing the nature of the self. Timelessness. Many things are dropped off once you know how to cross this aspect of time. And this timeless nature is called as Om. Very, very powerful word, a cosmic word, used before creation, used by all the rishis to reach the highest in themselves. So the first mantra reveals to us Om. And what is the meaning of this Om? Om means something which is always there. That is one way of saying it, which is called as the immanent principle. Immanent means, I use these two words in the Bhagavad Gita as well as in the Upanishad sessions. You must be very clear of these two words because they mean a lot. And especially in Mandukya Karikas, when you come to the analysis, these two words will help you to reach the highest. Immanent, transcendent. Because through these two words, we can reach the highest. So immanent means it is, you can express that principle called as Turiya as always existing, which is invariable, which is called as the invariable factor. All of us, we experience ourselves. The only thing we don't know is how to drop this body and to claim that self. That is the real problem. The problem is not of experiencing our nature, because that is what we are. So here the clue is, you can take it as something positively, which means it exists all the time, or you can take it negatively and say it is beyond time. You can understand timelessness in two ways. It's always in time. That means now, now, now. If you focus on the now all the time, in the present, and your mind is not going into the future or going into the past, you are in your true nature of the self. Always attention, alertness. Whenever you want to become alert, remember the meaning of this word Om. If you're used to chanting Om, it will help you a lot. Om. Come back to the now. Whatever needs to be done, do it now. Because the body is meant for action. We are all meant for action, but we get caught up in our past or we get caught up in our anxiety for the future. Drop both this as a habit. It's our habit. And the more we understand this concept of now, the more we'll be closer to the truth. So the first mantra is very clear. We can go deeper into this when we analyze in meditation this concept. Sarvam ityetat Brahma, I am Atma Brahma. All what I experience, the past, the present, the future, whatever, all my experiences are called as anatma. And I am called as Atma. This is again a very powerful mantra. This is a mahavakyam. We analyzed this in the last 4 sessions. We have done a very deep analysis of this. Today we are going to conclude that analysis and then go into the next verse. So here, this is a mahavakyam. A mahavakyam is a core of the Upanishads in a cryptic form, like E is equal to mc square of Albert Einstein. So this is a mahavakyam which says the core in me and the core of the universe is the same. Is the same pure consciousness, awareness. A pure being is the core of this entire creation, and it is also the core of myself. All whatever I experience is called as, given a name called Brahman. In the first verse, we saw there was Om, the word called Om. That Om, which is timeless, is the same here in the second verse called as Brahman. And the third word which is used is Atman. Whenever we refer to the awareness principle in our own body, it is called as Atma. Whenever we are looking at the entire creation, the self of the creation is called as Brahman. When you consider the totality, you have to put our own body and mind also into the totality. So the self is this awareness, and this self, when I look at it from the totality, it's given a name, Brahman. And then the next part of this mantra, it says, this pure being, this pure consciousness has got 4 quarters. This is how the analysis begins. Step by step, this 12 mantras is a beautiful, well-structured methodology of both the teaching as well as the practice, personal practice of upasana, meditation. Very, very methodical. So this pure being, that is what when we chant the mantra Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, when we chant that mantra, it means the same pure being. We are remembering that pure being, which is our own nature. And knowing our nature, the best thing which can happen is the joy, the sorrow in our life, which are purely thoughts which come in our mind, they have a place to rest. And that place is this pure being. The more I become aware of where the mind rests, then I will know inwardly how my own thoughts, which are projecting a world for me, I can bring it down and resolve it. Knowing this center from where all thoughts rise. So that is I can go on and on talking about this, but I want to proceed further in the discussion of the Upanishad. Now we will go to the portion where we stopped last time, and the second mantra we have discussed. It is the mahavakyam. Mahavakyam is the message of the Upanishads. Here I'm trying to just give you a gist of some of the mantras so that you understand that what we are analyzing as the center of ourselves, described in this Upanishad as beyond the time, is the same discussed in all other Upanishads. It's the same Atma, same consciousness, same awareness principle. Each Upanishad, when we study, it will come back to the same principle, the same pure being. And this is what we should also try to experience or try to be in our meditation. Meditation is nothing but only trying to be our own nature. Drop everything else and just be ourselves. That is what is called as meditation. Once you know the technique of arriving at this core, then at any time you can come back. You have to learn the technique through these sessions so that it helps you to come back to your core. Not only you, it will also help you to understand where others are coming from. Many times we find situations around us where people are going around in circles, but then you will be able to say that come back to this core. Okay, fine. We are all facing a very bad time, no doubt. But there is something in us. Let's hold on to that. So this Upanishad talks about reaching that pure consciousness through the methodology of understanding the three states of consciousness, which is waking, dream, and sleep. Three states. That is Mandukya Upanishad. And it is the best method adopted by many, many people to reach the self. And it is it's a time-tested method. It is not that we are the first ones to use this methodology. Millions of people have used in the past. They have achieved success in the spiritual journey. When we study the commentary of this Upanishad, first we understand the broad principle. That's what my objective is. In about 10 or 12 sessions, I hope to give you the gist. Once you have understood the gist, then you can study the commentary, because then you would know how to dissect this analysis further. Kathopanishad very clearly says By mind alone, this consciousness or awareness is to be realized. Mind. So never try to say that what is the use of the mind. The mind which is given to us, which we have this in this body, can be used to conduct transactions in the world in our normal state, transactional state of Jagrat, waking state. But there is another use for this mind. We can direct this mind inward. And then when we direct this mind inward, another new phenomena about ourselves gets revealed. And that is the illumination of the Sakshi principle. The illuminator of the mind gets revealed. Once we know how to take our mind from the external world of the sense organs into the internal world of Sakshi. And then it says, the one who sees no difference between the internal world and the external world, he is the one who crosses death. And the one who sees a difference, that means the moment you see Dvaitam, you see, this is a very central principle of Shankaracharya. In that pure consciousness, all the experiences which we have of objects, beings, everything is resolved in that awareness. From that pure awareness, the whole waking state comes, the dream state comes, the sleep state comes and goes, but that awareness never changes at all. And we can realize this through our mind. A trained mind, a purified mind is what we call it as a trained mind. Sharpened mind. Very powerful. We can make our mind, we can make our mind, which is gross in nature today, to very, very subtle. How do we make this subtle? How do you make it purification? Is by going through the scriptures. When my own mind analyzes the scriptures, understands the scriptures, it gets a power. It gets a power, it gets the strength to realize what the sense organs cannot reveal. It is there. That is our nature, but we don't know. I am that higher principle which the Upanishads is trying to reveal, the pure being in me. So Kathopanishad talks of the same pure being. Chandogya Upanishad, Sadeva Soumya Vidamagra Asid. This whole world has got two conditions, manifest and unmanifest. That is how Chandogya Upanishad reveals the truth. Manifest condition is what we see in our waking state. Unmanifest condition is what we experience in our sleep state. This is how our mind has to travel for the inquiry of our own true nature. There is two states which I am experiencing every day. I experience the world. The world includes me plus the whole 14 lokas. Kshetram in Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter language. That field, the field of Anatma is called as Kshetram, field. And that field is what? It is a field of only joy and sorrow. There is nothing in this world except these two things. Take anything in the world, anything, any experience of anybody, whether it is of Bill Gates, whether it is of us, whether it is of any human being. The sum and substance at the end of the day for each one of us is, was I happy or was I sad? That's all. These are the only two things we can analyze a day and say, yes, I was okay, I was moderate, it was okay, it was not so bad, it was okay. That is what we will say generally. Neither too happy, neither too sad. The day went away, chalta hai, you know. So and so. It just went, life is so and so. Because we learn to balance our mind with both joy and sorrow. So what in this particular Chandogya Upanishad, what it reveals is a concept that the world has got two states, manifest, unmanifest. But the one which reveals the world always is there. Sat principle, the pure being, the consciousness, awareness, it's always revealing the world, either in the manifest form or in the unmanifest form. And in the Chandogya Upanishad, this Turiyam or this pure being is given another name, and that is called as Bhuma. This is a name, like we say, we call it Turiyam in Mandukya Upanishad. I'm just giving you some examples of other Upanishads where the same truth is getting revealed. So Bhuma is that principle, that same consciousness principle, very important mantra, very effective for meditation. What does it say? It says that in which yatra nanya anyat pashyati, anyat shrunoti, anyat vijanati, sa bhuma. Very important definition of Atma. Very important, same definition, a very important definition of pure being, pure consciousness, pure Satchidananda definition. It's a definition for us, our mind to just go in that direction. It's an indicator. What does it say? It defines the infinite. What is the infinite? If you ask a person, what do you mean by infinite? Vedas are able to describe that. What the infinite is where one sees nothing else. When I'm in meditation, my mind goes off in the world. Therefore, the Sakshi principle is illumining my mind, and the mind is going in circles of different objects in the external world. This is not the state of that pure being. That pure being is one where he sees nothing. This is the same type of revelation in this Upanishad also. When you come to the 7th mantra of this Upanishad, you will realize the same effect is there. Where one sees nothing, one hears nothing, one thinks of nothing, one finds nothing. There is no division. There is no duality. That is the truth. Advaitam is the truth. Whenever I have got Dvaitam, Dvaitam means two, I and the world. Advaita means I alone am. What the Upanishad says is, it reveals is, my true nature is Sukham. That I alone am, this Atma is the nature of happiness. Everything else which we find in the world of experiences is Dvaitam. Two. And as long as we are in Dvaitam, there is no happiness. We need to understand our own nature as Advaita principle, which means it is beyond time, beyond space, beyond all objects. You may wonder, is there anything like that? But the Upanishads are very clear. They say, yes, there is something. Search it, and then you will find it. That is why we are all called as seekers. We are seeking what is our own nature. Till we find and we realize that this is our true nature, keep on studying the Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, other texts. Let my mind get purified. Many a times we are not able to realize the same truth, what has been revealed in the Upanishad in us, mainly because of the obstacles which we have in our mind. And meditation is a process to clear these obstacles one by one, one by one. Slow and steady, we do it. We learn the technique. That is why I have some of these meditation sessions at the end of the class. I have started this in Upanishad because we are all senior people trying to seek the truth. And the technique, how I should use my mind, is what we will be seeing in the meditation sessions. So here, the third month, in this revelation of the same pure nature of mind, it says very clearly that this pure being is immortal. What a revelation. Where do you find this nature of mind revealed? Nowhere else, except these type of mantras or scriptural study which we do. Usually we all think ourselves as the body, and we look at it and our vision is mortality, change, death. Here is one study which helps us to know that in this world of change, there is a changeless. There is immortality. And these Upanishads are trying to reveal that immortality. It's possible to reveal, it is possible to realize this truth. Otherwise, we will not be studying this. Whatever is finite is mortal. What I experience, all what I experience is mortal. The seen world, the seer is immortal. That consciousness, that awareness is immortal. And how do I realize it? When my mind goes and experiences something in me in which there is no objects. Nothing is there to see, nothing to hear, nothing to think about. I am that pure being is where our mind has to dwell. And the more I dwell on this power, the mind gets the power, it gets the strength. When it goes into this type of thoughts, it gets an innate strength. Next Upanishad is Kaivalya Upanishad. Mayeva sakalam jatam, mai sarvam pratishtitam, mai sarvam layam yati, tat brahmadvayam asmi. I am that non-dual Brahman, that pure being in which the whole world is coming, the whole world is, from which the whole world is coming. It exists in the same pure being and it goes back to the same pure being when I go to sleep. This is a very beautiful mantra. It gives us a direct link to the Mandukya Upanishad. Whatever the Turiyam which is revealed in the 7th mantra of this Upanishad is the same which is revealed in Kaivalya Upanishad. If you study both these mantras together, the 7th mantra of this Upanishad, na anta prajnam, na bahish prajnam, no prajnam. So that mantra and this mantra, you'll find we are able to reach the truth. Very important point in this mantra is, it is Advayam. We must never forget this nature. Advayam, very important word. Advaitam. Advaitam means non-dual. Non-dual means it exists by itself. There is nothing else in it. And that is my nature. That is my nature of that is the nature of the pure consciousness. Sat Chit, Sat Eva Somya. In Chandogya Upanishad, that same pure being is defined as a pure existent being. And the same consciousness in Taittiriya Upanishad is revealed as consciousness. Jnanam. One is existence, another is jnanam. When I use these two words, I will reach Sat Chit Atma. So I was talking about Taittiriya Upanishad. Saovacha yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti. Again, very similar to what we studied in Kaivalya Upanishad just one verse before. That from which the beings are born, that by which they live, they exist, and that into which they all enter. That is called as Brahman. That is called as the real pure being, the Sat Chit Atma. This is Taittiriya Upanishad revealing the same truth. You see how similar Mandukya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, all of them, they are talking of the same one consciousness. I must go after this study and understand what is this pure being, which this Upanishad is telling us is beyond the 3 states of consciousness, waking, dream, and sleep. If I go beyond these 3 states, I am the same pure being, which is revealed in the other Upanishads. It is revealed and I will know. Many times we don't know in our inquiry process. If I don't go through these type of mantras, even after I reach the goal, many people, they keep saying, I don't know whether I have realized or not, because they have not known the methodology of study. Very important is to understand the goal. And then only when you know that a proper understanding of what that Atma is, then you will know, having reached, you will know, yes, I am free. Then you will be able to claim that as the real nature. So that is the idea of trying to study the different Upanishads and trying to make my mind focus in the direction of study. And Taittiriya Upanishad, the same, another, that was the 3rd chapter, this is the 2nd chapter. Tasmad vaye tasmad atmana akasha sambhutaha akashad vayuho vayoragnihi. This is a very beautiful mantra again, which again talks of the same pure being you can reach through the analysis of the five koshas or the five elements. In this particular mantra, it says that from that pure Atma was born the space element. From the space element, the origin of space is Atma. Which means what? When I'm in the sleep state, I don't experience the world of five elements. Therefore, when I don't experience the world of five elements, I am with my pure self, which is Atma. That's how we have to link the mantra with our own understanding of who we are. From that pure being, that's consciousness, that's such a principle, from there only this entire world of five elements springs up and again it resolves. And it says, this Upanishad says, nowhere else you will find that how this origin of the five elements is. Here, the Upanishad reveals to us that from space comes air, from air comes fire, from fire comes water, from water comes earth. So the mind travels in this direction. In the seat of meditation, I can remember this one verse. Just focus and tell yourself, I'm resolving all my experiences of whatever I see into this body, and then into this earth element, into the water element, into the fire element, air element, space. And then you leave it. Whatever I experience is myself. That's it. The reverse cannot, this is the reverse process. The origination is from Atma and the resolution is from earth to space. This is another technique of meditation. You resolve, you take the origination of the world and you take the resolution of the world. Use the three states, waking, dream, and sleep. When I wake up, what happens? There is an origination of the entire creation. I am experiencing the world. What is this world? The world is made up of five elements. The world is something which is seen, anatma. And who is the experiencer? The consciousness, the pure being. So I learn and I meditate on this. When I meditate on this, my mind becomes subtle. I learn the process of thinking into subtler and subtler levels of experiences. When I do this methodology, the mind gets the power, gets the strength, and then it gets the wings to fly into the unknown world of that pure being. The same unknown world which has been described in Taittiriya Upanishad, the previous mantra, and the Kaivalya Upanishad, and the Mandukya Upanishad. Same. It's a training of the mind. We all can do it. And we'll see how to do that also in the Mandukya style of the analysis of Omkara. So with that, I will close for today. What I will do is I will start the third mantra next week because this is a new topic. To give you in principle, it's a very simple way of understanding the Upanishad. Verse number 3 talks about the waking state. Verse number 4 talks about the dream state. And the verse number 5 talks about the sleep state. This is how the progress is going to be. We are going to study the 3 states of experiences, which is common to all of us. Whether you live in UK, whether you live in Brazil, whether you are studying this, you are listening to this in any part of the world, the 3 states are common to all of us. And that is why this mantra, this Mandukya Upanishad is very, very powerful. It's analyzing our own experiences. 3 states, 3, 4, 5. Each state, what are we experiencing? Our mind has to dwell on each of these states for a certain length of time. I cannot tell each one of you how much time you have to spend on this, because each of our mind is different. And once we realize that this is the waking state, this is the dream state, this is the sleep state, I look and understand what is common in all of them. What is common is the consciousness, the illuminating principle in each of the states. That never changes. That pure being, the illuminator, the consciousness, and the existence principle is the invariable. It doesn't change. It is that pure being which I'm searching. And once I learn the 3 states, then what happens is the Upanishad itself says that there is a controller of all this, and that is what we called it as Ishvara. In the 6th mantra, it will say there is a controller. It is not the body. This body is not controlling the 3 states, which is common, which is universal principle. And there is an external principle, which is the controlling the 3 states of consciousness, common to all the living beings. And then the 7th mantra, it describes the pure being. Beyond the sleep state is this pure being. That is the description in the 7th mantra. The most important verse in the 12 mantras is this 7th mantra, which tells us the indicators. If my mind travels in the indicators explained in the 7th mantra, I should be in the lap of Atma. This is how the Upanishad study progresses from verse 3 to 7. From the 8th verse onwards, there is a meditation technique prescribed. Meditation on the word Om. From verse 8 to 12 is that technique. We will also study that technique. We will go through these mantras in the following sessions. And then we will see how I can also realize the same truth which so many people have realized it. With that, I will close today's session on the Upanishad, on the Mandukya Upanishad. Next week, we are going to take up the waking state and analyze threadbare what is this waking state. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'll go through the questions in the chat. So here, if this is, Akshay is asking this question, if space is born from Atman, then air, fire, water, okay, herbs, food, the each and every particle is nothing but Atman only. Everything is Atman. Yes. Akshay, your understanding is perfect. This is what is taught in the Taittiriya Upanishad. From this mantra, I learn how to resolve the universe into Atman and how I can see that Atman is the source for the whole creation. That's why this mantra is extremely powerful for meditation. Many people don't know how to meditate, but these are the mantras. We can use it and we can realize a lot of strength in our own mind. When we go inward, you will find that our mind has become stronger and stronger. As you meditate, as you go deep inside, the strength mainly comes from Atma. Atma is the source. According to the Veda, Atma is the source. Atma is there in me. I learn through this process how to tap that source of power, tap that source of discrimination, learn to endure life. This is the power of the Vedas. All of us, we have our lives, but this gives us the strength. It gives us a methodology to reach our true self. And there is a lot of power in it. The more you practice this type of meditations, these are called as Vedantic meditations. Very, very powerful because they are leading us to the truth. Any questions from anybody else? Yeah, Deepak, go ahead. Shanmugam, can you unmute everybody? Okay. Deepak, can you go ahead?
So I just want to ask, you had mentioned about the finite and the infinite.
Yes.
Infinite is the consciousness, is the unmanifested world. The finite is the manifested world. No. Infinite is consciousness.
Yes.
Then there's the unmanifested world and there's the manifested world.
Yes, you're right.
So what is
there are two unmanifests.
Yes.
One is of the Prakriti, which becomes manifest and unmanifest. Which is Prakriti means nature, which means the nature of the five elements.
Okay.
Then there is another unmanifest, which is the pure consciousness.
So that is infinite.
Which is infinite, which is always, both are infinite. That is why we say Purnamada, Purnamidam. Purnamada means from this manifested world is infinite. It comes from the unmanifest or infinite Atman.
So unmanifested is basically the consciousness.
It is the consciousness. You're right. It is the consciousness. It is what we are in our sleep state. In the 6th mantra of Mandukya Upanishad, you study very carefully the commentaries of Sarvapriyananda, commentaries of any book you take. study the 6th mantra of the Mandukya Upanishad very clearly, it will tell us that our sleep state is the state in which we are one with the reality, or one with Ishvara, or one with the Lord. The Lord and Jiva are one in that state. But this is not the final. This is still the Saguna aspect.
One without
beyond this, there is a Sakshi. That Sakshi is the infinite, is the real infinite, which is beyond time, which is beyond space. Ultimately, that infinite and this infinite is one only. That is why we call it Advaita.
What is one without existence? Both you use that both for finite and infinite.
Yes.
One without existence. What does that mean?
You see, when we look at the world, when we are looking at the world, see, the point of reference is the world. Okay, this is one way of. When we have to look at it from two different viewpoints, two different reference points. One reference point is the world, body, world. This body, this world is our reference. We say that this goes into unmanifest in sleep. This is our experience also. I am experiencing this body, I am experiencing the world, but I don't know what happens to the body and world. Everything, including corona problem, including the world, including everything is merged. It gets into some entity. That entity is called as unmanifest. Is this, the first portion is clear, right?
Yes.
What Mandukya Upanishad says is, this is the material aspect. This is called as Prakriti. The waker I, the dreamer I, the sleeper I. All these three is called as the lower I. It has got two natures, manifest and unmanifest. It is purely, all this is only matter. It doesn't have consciousness on its own. It has the two states, but it has no consciousness. Consciousness is the real nature of ourselves. That means I, the consciousness, am the ultimate substance. That is what I have to realize. I don't have to realize that I am the body and it has got two states. I go to sleep, I get up. This we all experience. We know this. So the infinite nature, the first infinite nature is of Prakriti, manifest, unmanifest. Whereas that pure consciousness is the illumining principle. It is the existence principle. These two words we should remember, Sat and Chit. The world does not have existence of its own. Matter does not have existence of its own. It borrows existence from this consciousness to appear and disappear. The matter principle appears in the waking state, it disappears in the sleep state. But the power of this manifestation, unmanifestation does not belong to the matter principle. It comes from the consciousness principle.
That's why it says one without existence.
Yes.
Existence from the existence principle.
Yes. This is the reality and this is unreal. That is why it says non-dual. Because it cannot exist on its own. And I have to take my attention to that consciousness from which this whole universe is coming and going. This coming going is only an appearance like dream. Later on, we are going to do a very important analysis, which is from Vichara Sagara angle. I'm going to do that in the end. After we have gone through these 12 mantras, I'm going to do one analysis where you will realize that the waking is also a dream. The dream is also a dream. waking and dream are two mithya. That means they are only appearances. Consciousness is the reality. There is an analysis which is done very, very deeply in Vichara Sagara text. There in that text, the whole chapter 6 is devoted to this Mandukya Upanishad analysis. Whole chapter 6 of Vichara Sagara. There are 200 pages there discussing this 3 states. And the final analysis there is that to see this entire, but again, the reference point must be very clear. The reference point is I shift my attention to that pure being. My reference point is not the body. My reference point is the pure being. When I take that as the reference point, then this entire waking and dream can be taken as one type of experience, which is called as pratibhasik. There is only Satyam, which is consciousness. Everything else is pratibhasikam. Pratibhasikam means it is just a projection. It's a superimposition.
Superimposition.
Yes. And the main thing there, what he says in Vichara Sagara is that this pramata means the Triputi. You know, we have studied Triputi and all that.
Yeah. Jiva,
yeah, the pramata, pramanam, prameyam. So what he says, I'm just giving you a clue as to how he analyzes in Vichara Sagara. The way he says is that this Triputi, that means this mind, the sense organs, and the jiva, which is experiencer. All these 3 are rising in one simultaneously in the dream. The same thing happens in waking also. Everything comes together. This whole
the mind,
which is called as pramata, the mind.
Pramata.
That consciousness with that mind becomes the knowing principle, the jiva, the waker. So the mind, then the sense organs, pramanam, and the sense objects, the world. These 3 is called as the Tripoti.
It's also called Jiva, Shrishti and Ishvara also.
That is a different way of looking at it.
Okay.
Anyway, once we go through the depth of this, at the end, I'm going to do this analysis.
Okay.
Once we do this analysis, you'll be very clear. What is Atma? What is manifestation, unmanifestation? All these are all only theories, just stepping stones, so that we realize our pure consciousness as the real nature. But good question. I mean, what you are asking is a very deep question, but this is how we have to learn. You have to learn to go from manifestation to unmanifestation. From unmanifestation, we have to ask this question: what is illuminating this unmanifest condition in my sleep? That is a very powerful question which Shankara asks.
Unmanifested condition in my sleep. Okay.
Yes, unmanifest condition, I am aware of it. Because in the morning, I am aware. Even now, if I ask you, do you exist in sleep? You will say yes.
I call it the breath of life.
You call it breath of life, you call it whatever you want. But there is
that unmanifested.
There is an unmanifested. Beyond this unmanifestation, there is an awareness principle. If that awareness principle was not there, nobody will say, I went to sleep.
So I know there are a lot of other questions, so I'll reserve this question for a little later. But I have just one question, which the creator principle in Advaita Vedanta does not exist.
The creator
does. We can talk about it later.
Yeah, the Ishvara principle.
Creator as a principle does not exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist in Advaita Vedanta. Yeah. You're right. Ultimately, it is resolved. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all 3 is taken as mithya, as a lower entity. The higher entity, my real nature is I am the Sakshi. All the time I am the Sakshi. And what is that Sakshi? The Sakshi is the awareness principle which is there When I close my eyes, I am aware of my mind. Whatever is aware of the mind is called as Atma. There is a principle. That is why we say you close your eyes. When you open the eyes, the sense organs are attracting us. We are not able to reach the mind at all. The moment the mind is the eyes are open, that is why the moment you're in a waking state, you're always seeing the world. The mind is always asking, what next? What next? What next? You know, what should I do next? After this class is over, you'll say, okay, tomorrow I have to do this. You make your plans. So that is the mind. That mind plus consciousness is the Vyavaharika Deepak. It is the same.
Transactional.
Yeah, it is the transactional eye.
Yeah, I've understood. There's some very interesting questions you may want to ask.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, you reserve it. There are more to it coming. Anybody else has any other question?
The participants have asked some questions to you.
Okay, let me see. Bhagavad Gita 13:22, 13:16, 13:82 talks about today's verses. Yes, you are right. Vijay, you are right. It is the same Bhagavad Gita which I am talking today. Okay, what's your question, Vijay? Can you ask? I think Vijaya is gone. She is not here. Okay. Okay, there is one more question. Even a Jivatma after getting liberated. Okay, this is a big question. Lakshmi, are you there? Can you ask? If you have a question, can you ask?
Actually, I have written it there, no?
Yeah, go ahead. Can you explain what you have written? Because it becomes easy for me to understand.
Okay, sir. Okay, fine. Actually, sir, my question is like, even if a Jivatma, after getting liberated and being one with the pure consciousness, it has no creative, destructive power of its own, like a Parabrahma. No, sir. Actually, so means they are not able to do any dharmic goods. Like for Vyavaharika, we need some dharmic dharma. With respect to the dharmic rule only, we are living in this Vyavaharika.
Yes.
So my question is, sir, even after getting liberated, they can't even they're unable to do any kind of dharmic activities. No, sir. So actually, is it just because of this whole creation is due to illusion or anything? My question is like, is it just because it's due to illusion that they are unable to do this?
No. It's not because it's illusion. You see, the scriptures, they explain your question. They say very clearly that ultimately the power, the power of dharma, adharma, that power is with the Ishvara. It is never with a jiva. Even after realization, he will never get this power. In Chandogya Upanishad, very clearly it is stated, in Brahma Sutra also it is stated, that a jiva will never get the power of creation. That is always reserved with Ishvara. Even after realization, he will never get the power of creation of the universe. A jiva can never get it.
No, I didn't mean the creation of the universe, but I just asked for the removal of all poverty or the.
No. That is, you see, whenever you talk about dharma, adharma, poverty, sorrow, everything, you should always remember that this world which we are experiencing in the Jagrat Avastha is created by God for a certain purpose. The purpose is very clear. It is for the purpose of Punya Papa resolution in this birth. That's all.
So, Mr. Shekhar, also
here we should remember that we are talking. Whenever you analyze the world, always use prarabdha karma and analyze it. Yeah.
Prarabdha.
You
the
always,
karmic principles
yes,
exist.
it
And
exists.
we have, yeah.
So always use the principle of prarabdha karma whenever you are analyzing the world. What is happening in the world? Why is it like this? There is only one answer: prarabdha karma. Finished. There is beyond that. If you ask the question, the second answer you will get is maya.
Okay.
It is all illusion. And then that is the end of it. Either you give the answer of prarabdha karma when it comes to a certain individual facing a certain situation. Why I didn't get corona, why other person got corona, why other person had 3 days, all analysis is, there are only two answers. One is you can say it is some power which is there, which there is, nobody can answer this question.
It is the cycle of samsara.
Yeah, it is.
We are caught in of
We
this.
call it samsara, we call it prarabdha.
And prarabdha is the very good.
Yes, that is the analysis, and that is what the human intellect can understand.
Okay, sir. Again, this is that Saguna Brahma or that Nirguna Parabrahma?
No. It's always Sagunam Brahma. Whenever we talk about the world, it means Saguna means what? It is with Guna. Guna means Maya. Guna means Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas is what you are able to experience. The gunas we cannot know because it is beyond the indriyas and the mind. But it is the that is what is called as maya. You see, that is why we say anything you try to analyze, that is the 14th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, clearly tells us our experiences we can analyze, we can look at it, we can say it is only this, that's all. But a person who can cross this maya through this study of the Upanishads, he is the one who has a possibility. That is why I used the possibility in the today's talk. I said, Upanishad is asking us, is there a possibility that I, the jiva who am suffering today, is there a possibility that there is some other principle in me which is not suffering? And the answer given by Upanishad is, there is an Atma which is not touched by the suffering of the body or the mind. There is someone who is suffering. That someone is called as Ahamkara or Pramata. There is someone who is suffering, no doubt about it. But that is, you can say it is a Maya principle, it is an illusionary principle. Death is there for the body. It is a change in the 5 elements. That is what is.
Namaskar. I have a few announcements to make.
Yeah.
And
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lakshmi. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any other question?
Sekhaji,
हाँ बोलो भाई.
there was some reading like you say that focus on Turiya and you get moksha.
Yeah, you focus on the Atma. Turiyam is nothing but Atma. Atma means my spiritual nature, not the body, not the mind. There is a spirit in me. There is a consciousness in me. I focus on that consciousness and I learn to forget the body and the mind.
So you get moksha.
Yes, you just live by yourself. I am that pure being. That is called as moksha.
I am pure consciousness.
Yes, exactly. You got it. I am pure consciousness. That is what is called as moksha.
My nature.
Yes, that is my real nature. I keep on remembering, I am that conscious being. I am that conscious being. Again and again, you keep on telling yourself, I am that pure conscious being. All other things which I think I am not actually. That pure conscious being, it cannot die. It never dies. You keep on thinking that I am dying, but it is not. because it is that revealing. It is only revealing. I see what that consciousness is. What is showing me that this body is there. Akshay is asking another question. So, Baba, is it clear?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Akshay, the world is suffering, which also is a part of creation. Does consciousness can't interfere in law of karma? Yes, you're right. Consciousness does not involve in the law of karma. The whole world is a cycle of a karmic cycle. Birth, death, waking, dream, sleep, waking, dream, sleep. It is a cycle. It's happening. It is, but you can go beyond the cycle by knowing that I am not in the cycle. I am the witness. And it is possible to realize this. That is why we study. What is the difference between Jivatma and Atma? And as Atma is Brahman, only right. Okay. See, whenever we say Jivatma, the moment you say Jivatma, it means I am including the body and the mind and the world. Because all three, they all exist in one frame of reference. You can never see the world without the body. You can never see the body alone without the world. You can never see your mind alone without the body or the world. So whenever we say Jivatma, it means that it is a mixture of the body, mind, and the world. And what is Atma then? Atma is the pure being. Without the Jivatma, Jagat, and Paramatma. Without the three, there exists an Atma. That Atma is equated to Brahman. Because that whenever we say Atma, generally we refer to an individual body. Whenever we say Brahman, it is beyond the body level. The moment you cross the body level, it is taken as consciousness. You can name it anything. You see, in this Mandukya Upanishad, we are saying it is Turiya.
In the chart, it explains very well, the first chart.
Yes, in the first chart, yes. Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll stop. Any other question? Very good. All the questions are quite interesting. Keep your questions. There will be some more. If you are studying individually, there's Mandukya Upanishad, or you keep your questions in a notebook, keep writing them down. You will get answers to these questions at some point during this whole session of Mandukya Upanishad, because this is a complete Upanishad. Try to understand the depth of the Upanishads, and you will realize that pure nature which it wants to reveal. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, sir.
Hari Om. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Secondly, that means Atma and Turiya is the same word, is it?
Yeah, it's the same word. What is called as Atma is called as Turiya.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.